Hello guys, in this video I'll be explaining to you the illustration found in your self-instruction manual. So in this particular illustration, we are given the income statement as for the year ended 2019, as well as the statement of financial position. So ayan, pinlat ko na sila for 2019 also. Now, what is required in this particular illustration is for us to prepare a projected financial statement so that eventually we will be able to compute our additional financing need kung meron man. So, paano ba natin siya gagawin, no? So, if you're going to prepare your projected income statement, no, unang-una, check muna natin magkano ba yung increase ng sales, no? Kasi yun yung pinaka-heart ng ating projection, yung increase in sales. Kaya nga ang tawag sa kanya ay percent of sales na method. Na kasi we will start with that percentage of increase in your sales. So in this problem, we will be increasing the sales will increase by 20% in the succeeding years. So, in the succeeding year, mag-increase ng 20% ang sales natin. So, ibig sabihin na if you're going to compute for that, your 2 million will become 120% or mag-increase siya ng 20%. So, ibig sabihin, our projection is 2,400,000 no? Pagdating ng next year. Okay. Now, paano ba natin i-compute or how do we prepare our projected income statement? Kasi yun yung pinakaunang step na i-prepare your projected income statement. So, based on your SIM, meron doong computations na binigay, and ang computation niya ay, sabi niya doon, no, mag-start ka daw with the item. So in this case, no, we are trying to compute magkano ba yung projected na cost of sales. So you just divide it daw by your current sales, which is 2 million. And after that, you multiply it with your projected sales, no? So, you'll have 2.4 million. So, with that, yung mako-compute natin ay 1,440,000. So, ibig sabihin, given 2.4 million sales, no, pagka next year, your related cost of sales would be 1,440,000. So, again, that was computed as the amount of your cost sales at present divided by your sales, no? Your current sales. Then multiply it by your sales, no? Projected sales, which is 2.4 million. So actually, there's another way of computing that, no? So meron tayong ibang computation na for me mas madali. So if you're not comfortable with that kasi medyo mas matagal yung proseso, we can actually multiply immediately the cost, your current na amount na yung 1.2 million, pwede na natin i-multiply yan by 120% or 1.2. So to get your 1,440,000. So it will still arrive at the same computation at the same amount, which is 1,440,000. So after that, no, what we do is, no, we just apply this formula kasi alam naman natin ito, diba? Basic ito. For you to compute your gross profit, you simply deduct cost of sales from your sales. So applying that formula, then we compute our gross profit. So you'll have 960,000. Now, operating expenses, no, generally will simultaneously increase or spontaneously increase kapag nag-increase ang sales natin. So, yung gagawin natin ay same lang, no? Kunin natin, magkano bang 120% ng operating expenses na to? Or, yung sa competitions na based on sa SIM, pwedeng that amount, 380,000, you divide it by 2 million, and then i-multiply natin by 2,400,000. So, that's 456,000. Na? So, actually, again, there's another way to compute it para mas madali. So, your 380,000, you simply multiply it by 120%. So, again, you will arrive at the same amount now, which is 456,000. So, again, how to compute your earnings before interest and taxes, you simply deduct your operating expenses from your gross profit. So, this is 960,000 minus 456,000. So, yan. 504,000. Now, for the interest expense, take note class that interest expense does not necessarily increase kapag nag-increase yung sales natin. So, meaning, interest expense is a non-spontaneous expense. So, ibig sabihin na hindi siya apektado, hindi siya affected. Kapag meron kang increase in sales, hindi siya affected. Bakit? Kasi, mag-i-increase lang or mababago lang yung interest expense mo kapag nangutang ka. So, in this case, wala naman siyang sinabing nangutang. So, i-as is lang natin yung 70,000. So, you just copy that. So, this one, again, your interest expense will only be affected kapag nag-decide ka na kung paano ma-finance, if ever, yung mga additional funds needed ng company mo. So, with that, you'll have 504 minus 70,000. So, your earnings after taxes or before taxes will be 434,000. Okay? So, ito namang taxes. So, also know in tax 1, di ba? Paano ba i-compute yung income tax or yung taxes? So, mag-base tayo sa earnings after before taxes. Then, just multiply it by the tax rate na applicable. In this case, that's 35%. So, you will have 151,900. So, after that, we can compute now for your earnings after taxes. So, the amount is 282,100. Now, in this particular given problem, hindi niya sinabi kung magkano ba yung dividend payout ratio. So, meaning, out of the earnings na meron ang company, magkano ba yung i-declare as dividends and how much will be retained in the company, in the retained earnings. So, looking at the previous years na computation or na data, yung sa 2019, makikita natin na yung dividend payout pala ng entity na to ay pila di ay, it's 60%, 60% yung dividend payout ratio. So, usually, if you're going to apply that here, supposedly, kung walang changes, dapat yan yung ibibigay natin as dividends. Kaso lang, looking at this problem, kasi nagbigay siya ng solution na based on sa ating SIM. So, based sa SIM, you will see that the increase in the retained earnings in the projected statement of financial position is not equivalent to this much. Hindi siya equal to 112,840. So, with that, having said that, later na lang natin itong i-fill in. Magkano ba yung dividends? Kasi we cannot apply, again, because based on the problem, nagbigay na siya kung magkano yung ending balance niya ng equity or ng retained earnings for the projected niya na statement of financial position. So, we cannot use this 60% here na dividend payout ratio. But, normally, one of our basis, kapag wala namang sinabi, kung ano yung basis natin ng dividend ratio or dividend payout ratio, tsaka yung retention ratio. Usually, mabibase tayo sa original or historical na data. So, we'll just leave it blank muna dito. So, we'll proceed to the statement of financial position. So, we have here no, your cash, your accounts receivable. So again, we will try to compute, no, for the projected, or we'll try to prepare a projected statement of financial position based doon sa increases in sales, which is 20% na. So again, this is your projected increase in sales. So here, so assuming a 20% increase in your sales. Okay? So based on that data, no, or in that information, pwede na tayong mag-compute na ng ating, or pwede na tayong gumawa ng statement of financial position. Actually, this is the second step, no, in the projected or the sales or percent of sales method na projection. So after mo nakagawa ng income statement, pwede na tayong gumawa, no, or mag-project ng statement of financial position. Now, dito, no, in this statement of financial position, what is important here is you are able to identify, no, what are those assets that will spontaneously increase, no, with your sales. So ibig sabihin na ano ba yung normal, no, or usual na reaction or effect na increase in your assets, no, dito sa mga assets na nandito. Okay? So generally, pag sinabi nating current assets, no, usually they increase, no, spontaneously with the increase in your sales. So again, usually, unless otherwise stated, ng mga current assets natin, ang assumption natin ay mag-i-increase din sila, na in proportion to that increase in your sales. So that, no, pag nag-compute tayo dito ng projected na cash, so ang gagawin natin ay parang kanina lang, no? So you simply divide, no, the amount of your cash, 50,000. You just get the proportion. It's proportion to the sales, current sales, and then after that, you just multiply it by 200 or 2,400,000, the projected natin na sales, no? So again, no, if you are confused or medyo matagal gawin yun, you can simply multiply your 50,000 by 120% or 1.2. So again, the same lang yung kalalabasan na amount. Okay? So, but just to explain, kasi doon sa SIM, no, na present, yung computation niya ay just like this, na ganito. So, magdi-divide ka 50,000, divide 2 million, then multiply mo with 2.4. Pero, kung titingnan natin, yung ending naman niya, no, ang pagka-compute ay the same lang kapag minultiply mo na agad sa 120% or 1.2. Okay? So, the same is true with your accounts receivable, no? So, we are assuming that accounts receivable also will spontaneously increase na kapag nag-increase ang ating sales. Again, that's our assumption, no? Na ang increase in your accounts receivable, it will also cause, or an increase in sales will cause an increase also in your accounts receivable. So, simply because these items here, yung cash, your accounts receivable, your inventory, this will be affected na in the normal operations of the business. So, yun yung mga items, no, or assets na spontaneously will be affected or will increase also kapag nag-increase ang ating sales. So, the same also with inventory, no? So, we'll simply multiply it by 120%. Or again, if you wish to, pwede nyo gawin yung 750 divided by your current sales multiplied by your projected sales. No? So, again, it will come up, no, or it will yield to the same amount. Okay, so with that, meron na tayong total assets. I-add lang natin lahat. Yan. So, your total assets is 1,440,000. Okay, now, for the fixed assets, take note, class, no, that fixed assets do not necessarily increase, no, spontaneously with the increase in your sales. So, bakit kaya ganun? Bakit hindi siya agad mag-i-increase? So, this happens kapag ang entity ay hindi pa operating in full capacity. So, anong ibig sabihin nun? So, if the company is not yet operating at full capacity, ibig sabihin, any increases in their sales can still be accommodated with their current fixed assets. So, parang ganito lang, no? So, example, currently they're operating below their normal capacity or their maximum capacity. Say, for example, yung maximum capacity ay 1 million, no? 1 million ang volume. Pero currently, they're only operating at 600,000. So, ibig sabihin, they can still accommodate increases in their sales without increasing their fixed assets. Simply because hindi pa nga sila, wala pa sila sa maximum capacity ng company. So, they can still increase their sales without adding up their fixed asset. Kasi they can still cater. Their current fixed assets can ang existing nila na fixed assets can still accommodate to the increase in their sales. I hope you're able to get that. So, itong fixed assets na to, kasi we're assuming that the company is still operating within its normal capacity, so hindi natin siya i-increase. Take note that i-increase lang natin ito or ito ay will spontaneously increase with your sales lang kapag sa problem, merong indication na the company has been operating already at full capacity. So, it is an indication that for them to be able to cater their sales, their increase in sales, dapat magdagdag sila ng fixed assets. Kapag, again, full capacity na. Pero in this case, we're assuming that they are not still operating at full capacity. Okay? So, this is our total assets now. So, our total assets amounts to 2,240,000. So, anong ibig sabihin nito? We are actually computing already your required assets. So, ibig sabihin, for us to be able to accommodate, cater, sustain achieve the 20% increase in sales, dapat meron tayong assets a total of 2,240,000 as computed. Okay, so let us now proceed to the liabilities section. So the same also with your assets, hindi lahat ng liabilities will spontaneously increase with your sales. So ibig sabihin, gagawin natin, dapat ma-identify natin, what specific account, liability account, will spontaneously increase kapag nag-increase ang ating sales. So, malamang, itong accounts payable, we will assume that it will spontaneously increase with the sales. Bakit? Kapag i-increase ang sales mo, of course, di ba, mangungutang ka. So, you'll be purchasing, and usually we do it on account. So, that's why, that's the reason why we are also increasing our accounts payable kasi it will be affected with that particular increase in sales. So, pwede natin i-multiply na lang yung 250 by 120%. Or, kung gusto nyo, again, pwede yung amount ng 250 natin, i-divide natin by our current sales. And then after that, i-multiply natin with our projected sales of 2.4 million. So again, the same lang yung answers na makukuha niya. So depende na lang sa inyo kung asa ang mas madali sa inyo Either katong magkuha mo sa proportion or diretso na lang ang 120% kasi 20% yung increase. So yan. What about accrued wages? So the same also with accrued wages, accrued wages, diba related yan sa normal day-to-day na operations. So, meron kang mga hindi pa nabayarang sweldo ng mga empleyado. So, most probably again, because of your increase in sales, lalaki din yung accrued salaries mo as well as your accrued taxes. So, with that, No, itong mga amounts na to dapat i-increase natin by 120% also. Okay, the same also with your accrued taxes. Okay? So, your total current liabilities, i-add up na lang natin. Yan. And then your notes payable. Now, take note, no? Yung notes payable natin, it will not spontaneously increase. This is not a spontaneous liability. So, ibig sabihin, kapag non-spontaneous siya, no, hindi siya apektado, hindi siya affected na kahit pa nag-increase ang sales mo. Kasi, affected lang siya kapag nangutang ka, no? Nag-avail ka ng loan sa bank. So, dun lang siya merong changes. In this case, wala namang sinabi sa problem. So, assist natin na walang additional loans muna na binarrow ang company. So, the same also with your long-term debt. So, with that, pagkano ang ating non-current liabilities? So, ganun din. So, ang total liabilities natin ay 556,000. So, there is an increase of 56,000. Okay? So, the same lang din with your ordinary shares. No, wala namang additional issue 1. So, it's still 1.2 million. And then, okay, take note of this one. So, for your retained earnings, so take note na that this is related, your retained earnings balance here is related to, no, i-connect natin siya doon sa dividends na dineclare mo dito. Okay? So, based on that, no, kasi hindi siya binigyan, no, ng computation. But, if you are going to look at the illustration, so, sabi niya dito, ang ending balance ng retained earnings niya ay 480,500 daw, no? So, based doon sa illustration na binigay. So, meaning there is an addition of, magkano ba? 180,500 minus 300. So, merong additional na 180,500. So, saan ba galing itong 180,500? So, again, class na, it has something to do with your dividends declared. So, ibig sabihin, kung nadagdag ang 180,500 sa ating retained earnings, meaning, out of the earnings na 282,100, 180,500 na tira, mapangdagdag doon sa retained earnings natin. Ibig sabihin, only 101,600 was given out as dividends, no, during the period. So, out of the 282,100 na earnings after taxes, only 101,600 were given out as dividends. So that, no, yung natira, no, yung 282,100 minus 101,600, yung 180,500, niretain siya doon sa corporation. That is why it is being added in your retained earnings. No? So, I hope it's clear, no? I hope you can still recall that income, no, ng isang corporation ultimately will go to your retained earnings. Nakasala in this case, since nag-declare siya ng dividend, so mare-reduce din yung kanyang retained earnings because of the dividends declaration. So, yung net amount na lang na mapupunta sa retained earnings, ayun na lang, hindi niya dineclare as dividends. So, in this case, this is 180,500. So, kaya naging 480,500 ang ating retained earnings. So, ang total equity natin ay that match, no? 1,680,500. Now, kung i-compute natin ang total ng equity tsaka ng liabilities, it will tally to this much, no? You have 2,236,500. Okay. Balikan lang natin yung asset, no? Magkano yung total assets na required? So, based on the computation, it is 2,240,000. So, ito yung requirement, no? So, actually, we are now in your step 3, no? So, we are now trying to compute kung magkano yung additional funds needed kung meron man. So, in this case, again, your total required assets, no, to sustain or to support your 20% increase in sales, no, with amount of 2,240,000. Now, based on your computations and with your dividend policy, no, with the amount that you're going to retain as in the company, no, will not be given out as dividends, and considering also those items that spontaneously increase, no, with your increase in sales, then we have come up that the total equity and the total liabilities and equity would only be 2,236,500. So with that, i-compare mo to. Na yung 2,240,000, i-compare mo siya with 2,236,500. So parang ganito lang. No? So this is your required assets, no, to support your 20% increase in sales. However, yung funds available mo, no, both from liabilities and from owner's equity, only amounts to 2,236,500. So if you get the difference of that, no, 2,240 minus 2,236,500, you'll have 3,500. So ano ba yung 3,500? So take note, that is your additional funds needed, no, or additional financing need. So ibig sabihin, no, with your projection, with your financial planning, you are able to project, no, that for you to be able to support your 20% increase, no, in your sales, then you have to source out, you will need additional financing in the amount of 3,500. So again, we are now in the step 2 na of the 4 steps na how to prepare a financial plan. So unang-unang step natin ay gumawa tayo ng income statement. Pangalawang step natin ay gumawa tayo ng statement of financial position. And ultimately, the purpose of that is to prepare, na mag-prepare tayo ng tinatawag nating, or mag-compute tayo ng tinatawag nating additional financial or financing need, no? AFN. Others will also term it as external financing need, no? EFN. No? But it has the same meaning. So meaning, ito yung kailangan mong ma-raise, no? Magde-decide ka ngayon kung paano mo ba i-raise, no? Paano mo isa-source out ang iyong AFN na 3,500. So, pwede kang mamili, mag-decide ka, pwede akong mangutang ka sa bank with your 3,500, or pwede rin mag-issue ka ng ordinary shares. No? So, depende lang sa kung paano mo siya ipi-finance. Again, this is part of your step 2, no? Pagkatapos mong gumawa ng statement of financial position, then pwede mo nang makompute ang AFN mo or additional financing need kung meron. Now, there are instances wherein wala tayong AFN, but rather meron tayong surplus. So, kailan ba merong surplus? So, merong surplus kung etong total liabilities and equity ay mas malaki compared sa total assets. So, meaning, hindi mo na kailangan ng additional funds, no? Or hindi ka na, pwede ka nang hindi na mag-borrow or hindi na mag-issue ng ordinary shares kasi you can already support, no? Meron ka ng pang-finance doon sa iyong plano na projected increase, no, in your sales. In this case, you have 20% increase in your sales. Again, merong surplus kapag ito mas malaki, no, kapag mas malaki ang total liabilities and owner's equity as compared to your total assets. Okay? So, yun, no? This is one way of computing your additional financing need. So, pagkatapos nito, pag meron ka ng EFN, your step 3 would be to decide, no, kung paano ba ipifinance itong 3,500 na ito. So, meaning you have to make a decision on whether to mangutang ka ba sa bangko or mag-issue ka ng ordinary shares. So, that's your step 3. Then, step 4 would be yung iko-consider mo yung tinatawag na feedbacks. So, feedbacks doon sa napili mong financing. Like, for example, naka-decide ka na yung 3,500 na AFN na to, ipifinance mo using your borrowing. So, magbaborrow ka ng pera sa bangko na 3,500. So, of course, kung nag-borrow ka, anong feedback noon? Ano yung effect noon? So, the effect would be, meron kang additional interest expense na mai-incur. So, yun yung ipa-plot mo na naman as your financing feedback. So, in the next illustration, I'll discuss that paano naman yung feedbacks. Paano mo i-consider yung mga feedbacks. So, kapag borrowings, ang feedback natin ay interest expense. Kapag naman issuance ng ordinary shares, ang feedback naman natin yan ay ang pag-declare ng dividends. Additional dividends na i-declare mo kasi mas marami na yung ordinary shares na meron ka. Okay? I hope that is clear. So, yun, that's how we compute for your additional financing need using your pro forma statement. Both your income statement and then your statement of financial position. But take note, class, that there's another way of computing your AFN. So, this time, it is in the form of formula. So, based sa formula, pwede mo ma-compute yung ating AFN based sa formula. So, ano nga ba yung formula? So, this is the formula on how to compute your AFN. So, if you are using this formula, pwede nang hindi ka gumawa noong income statement tsaka nung statement of financial position or balance sheet. Pwede nang i-shortcut mo na lang kung ang question lang naman ay yung pag-compute or kung magkano ang additional financing. So, specifically, this is the computation, your additional funds needed. So, sabi nga, that's your required increase in assets minus spontaneous increase in liabilities minus increase in retained earnings. So, how do we compute required increase in assets? So, that's your change in sales. So, magkano ba yung change in sales doon sa ating problem? So, that is, diba, 2,400,000 yung ating sales na projected minus our current sales na 2 million. So, ibig sabihin, there is a change of 400,000 in your sales. And then you multiply it by the ratio of your present current assets divided by the present sales. So, meaning this is, magkano yung present current assets total natin. So, that is, if I'm not mistaken, that's 1,200,000. So, you divide it by 2 million. So, yun yung ating required increase in assets. For spontaneous increase in liabilities naman, your change in sales, so that's again 400,000, you multiply it with the present current liabilities and you divide it by your present sales. And then your increase in retained earnings, as I've said, that's your earnings after tax minus your dividend payment. So again, if you're going to apply it here, that is again your 400,000 increase in your or change in your sales multiplied by your sales your present current assets, that's 1,200,000, and then you divide it by your present sales, which is 2 million. So that's your required assets. Then i-deduct natin yung spontaneous increase in liabilities, so that's 400,000 again, times magkano ba yung current liabilities natin, kasi yun yung mga kinonsider natin as mga spontaneous liability. So it amounts to 282,100. So since our dividend payment is 101,600 na, so that magkano ba yung natira? Sige, compute na lang muna natin. So you have 280 para dilibat. Okay. Yan, no? So, if we're going to substitute the formula, so your AFN, so this 400,000 times, magkano ba yan? That's 400,000 times your 1,2, divide your 2 million. So, that will be 240,000. So, your required assets would be 240,000. And then, deduct natin yung spontaneous increase in your, or record increase in assets pala yun. No? So, yung spontaneous increase naman ng liability. So, pagka-compute nun, that is your 400,000, multiply lang natin by 280,000 divided by 2 million. Okay, so the amount is 56,000. So there is this spontaneous increase in your liabilities and the amount of 56,000. And then after that, this one, ito siya, yung increase in retained earnings natin, that's 280 to 100 minus 100, 1,600. So that's 280,000 or 180,500. So 180,500. Okay, so with that, your AFN is computed as 240 minus 56 minus 180,500. So your AFN as computed same lang kanina will amount to 3,500. So that's the same doon sa ating na-compute kanina, which is ito, 3,500,000. So meaning, whether you're using the statement, the long cut, the statement of financial position, or the formula na approach, the same lang yung ating ma-arrive na answer. So you just have to remember na ito dito, itong amount na i-consider mo as numerator, yung 1.2 million class this is related to those assets which will spontaneously increase with your sales. So, in this case lang, in this problem, lang siya, ang i-consider lang niya is ang current assets because in this problem, it was emphasized that current assets are spontaneous or will spontaneously increase with the increase in your sales. Also, in this particular section, yung 280,000 mo, this is also your spontaneous liabilities. So, which in this case are those considered as current liabilities. So, again, generally, we assume that current liabilities are spontaneous or will spontaneously increase with your sales, except, of course, if those are not, meaning there's an indication na hindi siya spontaneous doon sa increase in sales. Okay? So, I hope that is clear. If you have questions, feel free to ask me during the discussion. So, ito na lang muna, ito lang muna yung i-discuss ko sa inyo, and then I'll give another video, in relation to the presentation or preparation of a pro forma or projected financial statements, considering naman feedbacks or financing feedback. So, that will be all muna. And if you have questions again, so please feel free to ask during our discussion. So, bye guys, and until the next video. Bye-bye.